The mainstream media had everybody hyped up about The Little Mermaid opening weekend box office. They said it was going to do big things here domestically, despite the fact that they were refusing to acknowledge how poorly it was tracking internationally. And even though they had it tracking poorly internationally, here we are, and it's even worse than anyone thought. What they originally thought was going to be a $105 million 3-day weekend and a $135 million holiday weekend, all of that has changed, because what we see now is actually way worse than anyone could have possibly thought. The Little Mermaid reels in $95 million 3-day box office opening, but it's shrinking overseas. And yes, overseas, internationally, it's doing horrifically. Under $70 million opening internationally, projected originally at 80, then went down and down and down. And we're sitting here with a movie that's significantly off the pace of these other Disney live-action remakes, specifically the one that's being compared to the most, Aladdin. $164 million global opening, and already the media is doing what they do best. They're blaming racism. There's something fishy overseas as Disney pick beset by review bombing. While the Rob Marshall directed update has a 95% verified audience score on Rotten Tomatoes, film ratings websites overseas, including IMDb, posted advisories during rollout when negative user reviews appeared in questionable abundance. Oh, it's being so-called review bombed in France and Korea and Germany and beyond. As we noted in our global preview, The Little Mermaid was expected to be more of a domestic play on the outset. However, it's astonishing to see these overseas reactions, largely believed to be led by online internet trolls. You're claiming it's being review bombed. You're claiming it's trolling. Yet the international number is terrible. Nobody went to see it. So it's not just, oh, these internet trolls, they're the ones that are doing it. Nobody went to see this movie internationally. This is a nightmare for Disney if these type of numbers continue on, because this is a movie with a $250 million budget, a massive marketing budget that likely needs to make somewhere within the range of $750 million or even $800 million just to break even. And with international numbers like that, it's going to be a struggle. And this article basically is just blaming toxic fans, review bombing, racism. That's why it didn't do well internationally. Well, yeah, you look at the verified score on Rotten Tomatoes, it is a 95%. But you look at the all audience, it's a little bit different. A 55% on Rotten Tomatoes. You look at Metacritic, it's a nightmare on Metacritic, 2.2. That's what the user score is there. Now, IMDb is a little different story until you look further. IMDb's a 7 out of 10. Seems a little high based on what we've heard until you realize that when you go to ratings, you see this: unusual activity. Our rating mechanism detected unusual voting activity. To preserve the reliability of our rating system, an alternate weighting calculation has been applied. What that basically means is that if there's a lot of negativity, we're just not going to count it. That's what this means. Do you do that if there's a bunch of 10-star reviews that really don't make any sense, that come in with abundance? No, you don't. You only do it to try to protect things like this. So if you take away their weighting system, it's actually a 4.6 on IMDb. Now, Eric Kane over on Forbes has a great article about this, breaking it down. And he also says there's something fishy about the Little Mermaid review scores. But he rightly puts that, is it 95%? Is this movie really a 95% on Rotten Tomatoes, which would be higher than the original, the 1989 animated movie? It would be higher than that. No, it's absolutely not. Is it a 2.2? Is a 2.2 on Metacritic really representative? Probably not either. The reality does likely lie somewhere in the middle. And as we saw disappointing domestic numbers compared to what they originally projected, as we see nightmarish international numbers, overseas numbers for The Little Mermaid, it is clear that a lot of people are not picking up or are not digging what Disney's trying to put out when it comes to Little Mermaid for a variety of reasons. Whether it's the laziness, whether it's the identity politics that are clearly at play with this film every step of the way, or whether they just think it looks like shit. This opening weekend box office, there's no way to get around it, was not what Disney is expecting. One of the worst case scenarios they could have hoped for with these nightmarish overseas numbers. And already the mainstream media is trying to convince you to blame something else, to blame the fans, to blame review bombing, to blame racism. We knew they would do it. We knew it was only a matter of time. And already this is what they're resorting to on opening weekend. Sad and pathetic, but this is Disney's live-action race-swapped Little Mermaid.